YouTubers, Mike Martin's here, Mike Martin's channel. Thanks for joining me. Thank God for money laundering. Welcome to another very special edition of Thank God for Money Laundering. And I want to put up this video here by Better Dwelling. And it's amazing, guys. We've been following it for years during this housing crunch and this fiasco and the stuff. And no, this is not post-Diction channel. This is pre-Diction channel, but it's been going on for years. And I've been calling out a lot of this stuff. So without money laundering, we'd be in a recession right now. Thank you, money laundering. Because without you, we would be having already been resetting. And things are going to eventually start turning into a positive territory. But because of money laundering, we've prolonged the crash. I don't know, 10 years now? 5, 8 years? We should have gone through 2 crashes since 2012, the way the economy was working. But if we kept the economy running on autopilot, God forbid, we'd be in a huge problem because of, I'm not going to get into the whole banking thing right now because I don't want to get my channel flagged. Canada would be in a recession without money laundering. A lot of gems in the last week's BC money laundering report, but the biggest one wasn't about the province. The report's numbers suggest one of Canada's fastest growing industries is washing money. In an advanced economy with low but stable gross domestic product growth, GDP, this is a big issue. Yeah, you're flooding the money with You're flooding the money with money in the country, right? The numbers show that laundering cash is now the difference between growth and recession in Canada. The amount of money laundered is underestimated. The amount of money laundered in the report underestimates the total. Oh, big time. Huge time. Dude, walking down the street in Vancouver. Hey, look at that bungalow there. That was built in 1910. It's cracked, needs a roof. It's 1,200 square feet, 2-bedroom. How much is it? $2 million. Well, what do you think? Shadow flipping. Hey, let me sell you my house. So, like I said this in another video, I'm in Costa Rica. My neighbor's in Costa Rica. We're both well off. We buy house on sight unseen. We don't even see the houses. We buy a house in Vancouver. I buy the first house in Vancouver for $1.2 million. I sell it to my neighbor that lives next door to me for $1.25. He sells it back to me for $1.26. And all we're doing is cleaning money in Canada, and it's going through the system, and it's just piling up. And they're going to get into shadow flipping in a couple of months still. I'm way ahead on this channel, way ahead. If you look at my videos, type in my Vancouver videos or housing, you'll see videos going back 8, 9 years. So anyways, obvious understatements would be included in corruption, bribery, and tax avoidance. Further funds, let's not forget tax evasion and not paying property taxes. Further, funds washed and entering Canada for layering or integration would be counted when the report mentions the number is most likely an underestimated. It is most likely is over $200 billion. You know what that is in pesos? 200 billion money laundered across Canada over the last 5 years. $200 billion, not pesos, not bolivarized. Even if that was bolivarized, you could probably buy Venezuela for that much. Holy crap, 200 billion. I just need a moment of silence here to reflect on the people who basically got destroyed by this market and people who bought in the last 5 years. I think Better Dwelling needs to make a video of a report on how many quarters does Vancouver or Toronto need to unwind till it gets back to normalities. I'm saying 18 quarters it needs to go back. 18 quarters of growth need to go back. I'm just throwing that out there. Sydney is about 12 quarters of growth. New Zealand, 13 quarters of growth. Need to rewind. And London is almost there. It's halfway there. So London needs about 7 quarters of growth before it gets back to normalities. London's been in decline for the last 3 years anyway. So London is ahead of everything, and then followed by Australia, Canada, and then New Zealand's last with price declines, right? Over $200 billion laundered across over the last 5 years. The amount of cash laundered over a 5-year period tops a couple of $100 billion. In 2015, the modest estimates of $41.2 billion cash was laundered, up to 9% from 5 years ago. This represents 2.13% of GDP. Woo! A fairly consistent number seen over the 5-year period from 2011 to 2015. The total estimated amount of money laundered is $200.5 billion, man. This excludes reinvestment typical in the layering and integration process of money laundering. Canadian estimated money laundering by province. Oh, it's by province! Thank you, Better Dwelling. I gotta send these guys a check in the mail. Okay, British Columbia. So this is the total estimated amounts by region. So this is in billions, okay, guys? So here it is, BC. This is, so we got 2011, 2013, 6.4, 6.3. They've been doing, oh, this has been going on for years. Look at Alberta. Why is so much money funneling through Alberta? Look at Alberta. 10.2 billion. In 2014, 10.7 billion, in 2013, 10 billion, 9.5 billion. Wow. And then the prairies in the 6s. Then Ontario got pretty hot in 2014, 2015. Quebec, a couple of billion, 5 billion. And then Atlantic Canada, not too much, pretty low actually. But I mean, in comparison to these other major cities, major bigger provinces. Woo! What's going on here, people? The most interesting bit of this report is money laundering is growing faster than the GDP. The paper estimates that 46.7 billion in laundered cash for 2018, which represents 2.1% of GDP. GDP only grew 1.57% over the same period. Holy macaroni. This is phenomenal. It's like the criminals have overtaken our economy, and that's why people have to leave the major cities. Unaffordability. Oh, Mike, you know, low interest rates are giving money for free and this and that. And yeah, right. And then they're going to have to raise the price of commodities and food and all kinds of stuff. It's going to get bad, people. 75% of the size of the cash laundered, excluding additional spin-off activities from laundering activities. Such a great GDP booster, right? If 3/4 of it disappears, we have negative growth. Once again, this is just obvious and easiest to measure laundering. More laundering in Alberta than BC? Yeah, we got to read this, guys, because I got to figure this out. Another takeaway that glossed over the media is BC is the 3rd largest province by dollar volume. Alberta is the winner with an estimated 10.2 billion. 2015, 3.03% of the province's GDP. That year, Ontario follows with 8.2 billion, the size of 1.13% of the province's GDP that year. British Columbia is in a distant third with 6.3 billion, 2.63% of the province's GDP in 2015. Canadian money laundering as a percentage of GDP. Holy crap. So, look at that. So, 2.73, but look at Alberta. You would have thought Alberta would have been like down here with the prairies in Ontario, but no. And it's Canada as a whole. Holy max. Okay. One reason Alberta's estimate is so high is due to how the numbers were distributed provincially. Crime statistics play a role in the attractiveness factor, which helps with distribution. Since Alberta has relatively high crime rate, the province may be overrepresented. That would mean Alberta's true number would be lower, but still very high. The paper notes if this scenario is true, Ontario and BC would be underrepresented. Yes, BC Ontario estimates can actually be much higher, even by a conservative measure. So remember back at the beginning of the article, they touched on how it's still under, like it's still not fully there. We sold out to the highest bidder, banana coconut. We had to leave the major cities just to make a buck. All right, money laundering plays a surprisingly important role for the Canadian economy. Even using conservative estimates, the amount is larger than GDP. Woo! Once spin-off activity and capital velocity is factored, it's one of Canada's largest industries. So I thought, yeah. But you know what? In the United States, their number one industry is exporting inflation. A lot of people don't know that number one America's export is inflation. But our number one driving factor of our gross domestic product and our wealth of our country and growth of our country is money laundering, people. The government, federal and provincial, is either clueless or unwilling to crack down due to the benefit. That's what I was telling you guys. Why would they stop that? That's like wheel in the money, bring it in, and the people living here, who cares? The former would imply wide scale of incompetence and a ladder recklessness. And the ladder recklessness. Wow. Papaya coconut, we got bought out. Ding, ding. And we gotta be very nice to everybody in Canada. La, 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 la. So let me know what you guys think. Woo! Oh, yeah, I gotta woo this one right out, guys. Share this video if you want to support this transmission. This is why I left Vancouver. It's not because, no one speaks English anymore. It's just, I was just tired of yeah. Watch my 10 reasons why I left Vancouver video. It's got almost 50,000 views. Let me know what you guys think. Canada would be in a recession without money laundering. Wow. I told you, we should have gone through 2 corrections if they left this economy on autopilot. They keep saying capitalism works. It does work, but our wages aren't catching up to inflation. If our wages caught up to inflation, we'd be very rich in Canada. Everybody would be very rich. Minimum wage would be in the mid-30s, $30 an hour, to afford a $2 million detached bungalow. That's the only way it would work. Looking forward to your comments in this one. Thanks for watching.